They built 50 homes on my ranch, 50 neat little boxes where wild grass used to sway right on top of the land my father bled for and didn't even have the decency to leave a note. No warning, no apology, just cold asphalt poured straight through the dirt we called home, a road slicing across the bones of our family history. And then, as if that wasn't enough, they fined me for walking on it. My land, their rules. I told them the truth and they laughed, sent lawyers, called the sheriff, acted like I was the one trespassing. But here's the thing, nobody bothered to check who owned the only road out of their picture-perfect subdivision. That my friend was the card they never saw coming. So I locked the gate. Simple as that. Watched their little empire fold in on itself from the front porch of the place they tried to wipe off the map. This story isn't just about property lines or who's got the best lawyer in town. It's about legacy, standing your ground, and what happens when a homeowners association bets against the wrong man. It all started on a morning so cold the grass looked silver. I was riding fence the way my father used to down along the southern boundary after a snap frost had turned the valley into a sea of glass. My mare Daisy slowed before I did, ears twitching, nose working the air like she knew something I didn't. I swung down, boots sinking into the frozen dirt, and let her stand while I walked ahead. Each step crackled through the frost. That's when I saw it, the fence gone. Not broken, not knocked flat by a steer or a windstorm. Gone, vanished like someone had snipped the wire and rolled it up neat as ribbon. I followed the tire tracks deep, wide, fresh down the slope past the cottonwoods that had stood longer than any of us had been alive. When I crested the rise, it nearly stopped my heart. Where there should have been pasture and cattle, there were rooftops, dozens of them. New driveways, white mailboxes lined up in a row, brand new houses as far as the eye could see. My land scrubbed of every trace of us except the curve of the ridge, the glint of the creek I'd dredged with my own hands, the watering hole Dad and I fixed when I was a boy. I rode hard for home, mind reeling. I'd never sold a single acre, not after inheriting Redstone Ranch from my father and him from his. Developers came sniffing every year, big checks and bigger promises, and I told them all to keep walking. This place was ours, end of story. I tore through the study, hands shaking as I yanked open the old map cabinet and pulled out the survey plat, ink-faded corners, soft, the southern boundary clear as day, running straight through the heart of those new houses. County records confirmed it, same parcel, same owner, no permits, no easements, no sale. I might as well have been a ghost. Saturday I rode down again, took a closer look. Sage Hollow Estates, the sign said, a premier HOA community. That stung worse than any cut. They hadn't just stolen my land, they'd built an HOA to rule it. A golf cart rolled up and out stepped Karen Delaney, president, as she announced with a chin held high and a voice that could curdle milk. Told me I was trespassing on my own land. I laid out the truth right there. This is Redstone Ranch. I have the plats, the deeds, every inch. She just laughed like it was a joke only she got. We have attorneys. You'll hear from them. I'm counting on it, I said. Monday morning, I was the first man at the county recorder's office. Every record confirmed it, Sage Hollow built without legal subdivision, missing permits, rubber stamped by a planner who'd vanished months ago. This was no honest mistake. It was fraud, plain and simple. I called Brenda Molina, land use attorney, 30 years of scaring developers straight. When I laid out the facts, she whistled low and said, "We've got them dead to rights. Want me to draft a cease and desist?" Not yet. I needed to see the wound up close. That afternoon, I walked their perfect streets, kids riding scooters, a man hosing a driveway so clean you could eat off it, fake turf glowing neon between river rocks. Lot 19 sat where Dad and I once built a cattle shelter, nothing left but a live, laugh, love mat and a pair of blue chairs. A woman eyed me warily from her porch. "Just walking the old fence line," I said. "We built a shelter here 30 years ago." She took a step back, spooked. Not my fight, not yet. I noticed then the single road out newly paved ran right through my land. All 912 feet, no easement, no purchase, just bold entitlement. By the time I got home, my anger had cooled to steel resolve. They'd built their castle on a single fragile vein, and I held the heart of it. The next day, Brenda and I marched straight into the HOA clubhouse. Karen tried to shut us down with a laminated plat, but Brenda cut her off cold. "Your entire subdivision encroaches on Redstone Ranch. No legal transfer, no easement." Karen bristled, called it harassment. Brenda laid out the original deed, chain of title unbroken. Challenge it at your peril, she said. You could see the fight drain from Karen's face. An hour after we left, Karen served me a no trespassing letter. On my own land. I laughed, called Brenda, and she just said, good. Every lie she puts in writing is a brick in our wall. Sure enough, next came contractors' orange cones, a crew trying to install a gate to block me from my own property. I called the sheriff, handed over my paperwork. Deputies made the crew pack up and go. Karen showed up fuming, yelling about HOA business. Deputy Rick set her straight. Not your land, not your call. She stormed off, and that was the moment I knew we had the law, the land, and the momentum. That night, digging through Dad's old files, I found a folder marked Easement Leverage South Access. He'd warned me years back, one day someone will try to claim that trail. Every parasite needs a vein. He was right. Back at the county office, I went even deeper. The clerk slid me memos, missing signatures, planners who'd vanished, approvals signed pending consent. Consent I never gave. The registrar, Thomas Avery, silver-haired sharp, spread the county map and traced the road. That's your line. You can close it, but it'll raise hell. I told him I wasn't out to hurt families. But I wasn't letting the theft stand either. Back at home, I stared at the maps. The road was leverage, sure. But it was also power, the only language that seemed to matter to people who'd tried to erase me. The next day, with Brenda and fresh surveys in hand, I posted a formal notice on the HOA clubhouse, cease and desist all activities on land belonging to Russell E. Merrick. Continued violation will result in restricted access and legal action. Karen called me before I'd even left the parking lot. Remove that or we'll report you for vandalism. Talk to my attorney, I said. That night, trail cameras caught two men poking around my fence line, clipboard warriors looking for weaknesses. The next day, a letter from a Denver law firm, cease and desist against me. Brenda laughed, filed a civil complaint of our own, quiet title, injunctive relief, damages, the works. We served every board member at their next meeting. The fines, the threats, the HOA's legal bluster, they all vanished like mist when the truth hit. Saturday, I called up Mac Hadley, old friend, retired welder. Build me a gate that would hold back a bull. By sundown, the road was closed, 14-foot steel chained and padlocked, a sign reading private road, no unauthorized access. The next morning, Sage Hollow woke up landlocked. Cars lined up, people confused, phones out, calls to Karen, calls to the city. I ignored them all. Karen tried to play the victim, called the sheriff. Deputy Rick came back, looked over my papers and said, he's in the right, take it to court. And so they did. News vans arrived, reporters sniffing for drama. The internet exploded, some folks siding with me, others crying foul. But the real shift happened in the clubhouse at a meeting I attended by invitation. Residents started asking hard questions. Why didn't you check the title, Karen? Why did you promise us everything was legal? I laid the deed on the table. I'm not here to ruin lives, I'm here to reclaim what was stolen. Silence, then a slow nod. For the first time, the real enemy was clear. The lawsuits came fast. Sage Hollow HOA v. Russell Merrick, alleging all kinds of nonsense. Brenda countered trespass, fraud, slander of title. The hearing was a circus. Brenda laid out the facts, deeds, maps, proof of forgery. The judge cut through the drama. The plaintiff's right to restrict access is affirmed. All counterclaims dismissed. Karen's mask cracked for good. Residents, angry and scared, forced her out. Dean, a neighbor who'd reached out before, took over as interim president and called to say, we're done fighting. Let's settle. The city sent Cassidy Morales with a clean offer: buy the road, pay full value, plus a premium, indemnify me against any further claims. I could have held out for more, forced them to move homes, drag this out. But I thought of Dad, of the kids riding bikes on the road, of neighbors who'd finally seen the truth. Sometimes the right thing isn't about winning bigger, it's about leaving things better than you found them. So I signed. The road became Merrick Way, public, paid for, open. The ranch, a little smaller in acres, felt larger in every other way. The old gate came down. Sage Hollow dissolved its HOA, started fresh. Folks who stayed learned what the ground beneath them meant. Life returned, different but familiar. And one crisp September morning, I rode the southern line again, saw children laughing where cattle once grazed, someone waving from a driveway, peace in the air. I tipped my hat to the valley, to Dad's memory, to the story we'd written in dirt and sweat and law. They'd tried to bury us under bylaws and ambition, but the truth, like the land itself, endures. That's the lesson, I guess. Stand your ground, know what's yours, fight, but fight fair. And when justice finally shows up, let it heal, not just punish. So I ask you, where's the line between standing up for what's right and hurting folks who just bought the wrong dream? When is enough enough, and who gets to decide what's fair? I want to hear your take. Share your thoughts below. Have you ever been up against power law or someone trying to take what's yours? What would you have done if you were in my boots? Let's talk about it.